Hi Joseph, this is Dave at All Sport Systems. I've shot some video here for you of throwing some dice using our high-speed camera. This is the full HD camera, which I'll show you in a second. It turns out that it's really the only one that can capture these dice with enough clarity, with the lens a reasonable distance away from them, as well as get us the high-speed photography that's needed. So I'll show you a few clips here of this camera in action. This one is at 960 by 600 resolution and 200 frames per second. In color, one thing I'll show you, and I'll give you an example here in a second. If you're willing to film in black and white instead of in color, you will actually get much clearer results, especially in the high-speed photography. There's some idiosyncrasies with digital cameras and color in particular. So I'll show you the difference. Same exact camera, same lens, everything, but we're going to run it in black and white mode instead. But of course, as you can see, the color image is not bad. You'll just notice it's going to be even sharper with the black and white. So I'll pause this and just step at one image at a time to give you an idea of what MotionView is doing here. What kind of motion you can see, imagine, or expect to see from one frame to the next. Okay, so I don't know how this compares to what you've seen before, but this is also still relatively high resolution, 960 pixels wide. I'll show you in a second that we can actually go considerably wider and still maintain the same frame rate with these cameras. Also, keep in mind this is not with any extraordinary lighting in my space. In fact, this image here was just shot with a table sitting next to a tinted window in our office space, and my office lights are not even on in this particular shot. So it's just, medium light coming in a window. It's not direct sunlight, not even close. Okay, now here's another image for you to look at. This is the same resolution. Sorry, it's a little bit different resolution. It's 1024 by 768. And this one was filmed in black and white at 240 images per second. So we're getting higher frames per second. And you can see the clarity in these images is noticeably better. That's always going to be the case with black and white. Much better results than what you get in color in terms of sharpness. Now that's not typically all that noticeable until you get down to where you're looking at really small objects like the little black dots on these dice. That's when you really can start to pick it up. So that's why I want to give you this as an option to consider. There's no difference as far as price or anything. It's the same camera. You just can operate it in this mode and you'll get images that look like this. Okay, so this is at 240 frames per second. And now let me give you one more that's even a larger, much wider image. This one here was shot at 1480 by 800. So this would probably work pretty nicely for a table view, wider angle. The camera is up off the floor, by the way, by about, 3.5 feet, sitting on a tripod on top of my desk and looking down. Now here, as you can see, I do have some lighting on. This is our LED panel sitting off to the side of the camera, lighting up the floor area where I'm tossing these two dice. And I'll let them finish out and then play once more for you to see it. So my recommendation is going to be that you film in black and white so you can get this kind of sharpness in the images. And the 240 frames per second is going to give you this nice, movement. Now we can go faster than this still, with the same camera. We just have to keep reducing the size of the picture to get even faster than this. And of course, as you reduce the size, and what I mean by that is vertically. So the fewer vertical lines, it can stay the same width in all cases. It won't change the speed at all. But if you reduce the number of lines vertically, then you can run the camera even faster. So we could possibly do 300 frames per second with maybe 2/3 of this height in the picture. So that's another thing to consider. Okay, I'll get this off to you, and feel free to give me a call if you'd like to discuss. Before I go, let me just bring up which camera this one is. Okay, I did try it on this camera here. This is kind of our medium speed, medium resolution, and it's no good. I mean, we have to get the picture down so small to even approach 200 frames per second that it's just a grainy mess. So this camera is really not going to do it at the speeds you need. This is the one that I'm using here, the ultra high sensitivity 1920 by 1080. So you see we're starting with a full HD sensor. That's the key, because now we can reduce that sensor size down and really crank up the speeds. Okay, so you're seeing images somewhere in this ballpark here, around the 240 frame rate speed. We can probably go even higher. As I mentioned, you can see the additional options you have with this particular camera here. Give me a call when you like to discuss further. 877-847-1280, and my extension is 200. Or if you prefer, Joseph, you can just respond to the email. Thanks. Bye-bye.